What's up, Corey? How we doing, man?
Doing amazing, bro.
Welcome to the podcast. And I know we have a crazy week with the mastermind ahead, and just wanted to go ahead and dive straight into it. How was the travels to get here, man?
Dude, amazing. Been traveling around Latin America as always, but just got off of a month in monk mode, so it's nice to kind of get the fresh air in Miami, kind of the vibes up a little bit, and I'm excited for this weekend for sure, but glad we could connect as well and knock this out. I'm excited.
Sweet, brother. Yeah, I have tons of questions, man, prepared, so let's dive straight into it, man. I wanted to ask a little bit about like Kaizen, right? There's this crazy mastermind event that's going down. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like what's Kaizen? What's that all about? What's the new project you're working on?
Yeah,
Super interested, man.
100%. Like, it was an idea that I had in my brain for a very long time, but that I never took the initial steps that needed to be taken. Like, that's what I'm figuring out in life is like, the more you just freaking do shit, the more that gets done. It's crazy concept, right? But as an idea I had in the back of my mind forever, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking do it. I'm just gonna send it. And the word Kaizen itself means continuous improvement. Essentially what I wanted to do is put my entire network that was completely spread out over a million different places in one place where they could all benefit from each other, and we can create that upward spiral of improvement, which, you know, is why I came up with the word Kaizen in general. ChatGPT helped a little bit. But no, like, essentially, like, my whole entire network was spread out across Instagram, across WhatsApp, across iMessage, across the world, right? And I wanted to put them all in one place. So I was like, I'm just going to facilitate that. And I know that people are going to benefit from it. And within 2 weeks of its inception, we already had people making money off of crypto, you know, knowledge. We've had people get job offers, right? It's been about a month now since its inception, and we're already throwing an event in Miami, a mastermind this weekend. Obviously, it's going to be a blast that you'll be coming to as well. So it's an amazing life that we live if you actually just do the shit that you actually want to do. And it's something that I've tried to been focusing on as of late, and I'm glad that this is the outlet and the medium of which I'm going to be able to do that. So,
Yeah, man. I'm curious because like a lot of people have ideas just like Kaizen, and you're thinking about it. I remember like 2 years ago, you're like, yo, Damon, I need to start this networking group. What do you think that is? Like, why do people hesitate on these ideas? Like, what do you think the root cause is for that hesitation?
yeah, I mean, the main one obviously is just self-limiting beliefs. You're just like, when something's not created, you are attracted to the idea of what it is going to be when it's finished, but no one wants to actually put in the work to get there. Like, everyone wants a six-pack, but no one wants to go to the gym every day for 6 months to actually get it, right? Everyone knows that it's just science. If you go to the gym and you do abs every day and you eat right, you're going to get a six-pack. But it's not easy. And if it was easy, everyone would do it, obviously. So it's that self-limiting belief that you have it's just like, at the end of the day, you have to pick what you want to do, because we all have a certain number of hours in the day. We all have a certain amount of energy that we can expel, and we have to choose what we put that into. When it's actually something you're truly passionate about, then it's super easy because it's not even work. So you have to find that outlet, and then once you do find that, like, it's kind of just off to the races from there.
100%. Another thing you mentioned is like putting all your network together. And I totally could relate to that because you have so many different contacts and there's so many awesome people you have in your network. But when they're all in one location, I guess what does that do for you? Like having everyone at your disposal, everyone who's connected and putting all those pieces together, like what kind of benefits have you noticed from putting all those people together?
Yeah, I mean, there's two parts to it, right? There's one, like everyone together in one place online, because obviously we're in a time where we live and we can communicate with each other. If you put everyone in one place online, that's obviously going to be super beneficial. But there's absolutely nothing in comparison to the energy that gets expelled into the universe when there are a bunch of high-driven, ambitious men looking for that call to adventure in the same physical place, which is why I was like, we just need to freaking start this off with a bang and throw an event in Miami, like, immediately, and really get this off the ground. Because, like, putting those, like, imagine, like, all of the wins we already have, right? Like, some guy made 7K in crypto within the first, like, week or two of Kaizen just existing that he wouldn't have made, right? Someone got a job offer from it. Like, we have all these wins already. Just think of the energy and the wins that will happen when all these people meet in real life, when we can look each other in the eyes and say, okay, this is someone that I actually truly, genuinely trust. This is someone that's going to be a long-term relationship, whether that's business, whether that's personal, and the wins are just going to continuously improve and compound after that. And I'm super excited for that. And that's why I was like, there's so many limiting beliefs even with the event. Like, what if no one wants to come, or what if it's too expensive, or what if, all these different things. And me and my business partner, we were just like, let's just do it. Fuck it. If it's just you and me, fuck it. Let's just do it. Mm-hmm. And now we're pretty much maxed out, and there's really there's a lot of emotions and a lot of energy going into this, but I'm super excited for this Saturday as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting with like pricing things, especially like high ticket things. It's always actually better to price it higher. I've noticed it's actually easier to get people to come to a more expensive event than like a mid-ticket event. It's literally insane how that works. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, you're like $750, but people probably, or however much the price was, and people probably would have paid double if you would have just asked. How come do you think it is we have a hard time charging what we're worth?
Yeah, it's kind of goes back to that same concept in which I was talking about, like before it is what you're imagining it to be, like in that middle ground, it's a weird time because what you would charge if it was exactly how you want it to be, but it's not there yet. So you're like, okay, well, I can't charge that yet, even though the value might still be there. Like there are resources in Kaizen, just like alone, the fact that you're putting yourself into a community full of multimillionaires, full of people that are hungry, driven, ambitious, that accountability and that ability to ask questions and learn alone, regardless of the other resources that we've put in there in order to ensure success, is well worth the entry price that we've priced it at now. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like it's hard to kind of gauge what value actually is because you're always going to see it differently than other people, whether that's good or bad. But at the end of the day, like you just got to be like, okay, this is what value's in there. This is what that value is. I mean, like the person that made $7,000 in crypto within the first week of being in there, that like immediately made his money back. Within a week of being there, he made his money back like in 1 week. And now he has access to this knowledge and everything after that. So it's difficult to kind of put yourself into the unknown when you don't know what the results are going to be. But if you can open your mind and, invest in yourself, then it's worth it at the end of the day.
Got to bet on yourself for real. It's interesting because there's a lot of people in Kaizen. I'm thinking about it right now. I could think of 5 or 6 or 7 people who have coaching businesses for one-on-one coaching where they charge like $10,000 to get access to them. But if you join Kaizen, you get access to them for not even as much. That's a cheat code, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And that was kind of the idea of when I had this idea like a long time ago when we talked about this, like I said 2 years ago. I was like, I want to, originally it was supposed to be an affiliate marketing group. So I was just going to create a low ticket offer and be like, okay, join this low ticket offer, kind of get into all these different things and then decide which route you want to go. Kind of like college, right? You go to college, then you decide what's my major going to be. If you want to focus on making money, people could join your stuff with next generation closers. And then I could be like an affiliate for that. I could say, hey, listen, this is my vetted like partner. If you do want to make money, the best way to do it is high ticket closing is sales. Obviously, because I've seen your results and the results of your students. So I was going to originally direct people that way. But then I was like, why don't I just bring them on in this? Like, why don't I just find a way to incorporate this as an ecosystem instead of just as an affiliate marketing play? And now it's become what it's become. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to see where it goes here very, very soon.
Awesome, man. And it's already February, like midway into the month. Like, what's the vision for the rest of the year? Like, what are the goals that you set for Kaizen, for yourself, for the next, 9.5 months?
Yeah, the immediate goals are personal brand focused because I have put off building my personal brand for so long. Part of that is a good thing because I haven't really known what direction I've wanted to take it. And it's kind of been half-assed here and half-assed there and some content here and some content there. As you know, I'm very, very good at Instagram coaching and coaching people on building their profiles and stuff like that. I did that for a while, but this is something I'm truly passionate about. So building my personal brand around this in the forms of YouTube long form content and obviously Instagram as well, but mainly focusing on YouTube is going to be the main goal. Like right now, we're still getting started, but like my YouTube success is really exciting because it's building an account from freaking scratch and then seeing that +1 sub, +1 sub, +2 subs, right? Those views on those videos that I'm making. And it's like, it's really cool. It's really fun to be like, okay, I'm actually building a personal brand, not around people that I knew from freaking high school or college or that I've met networking like I have on Instagram without a focus, but these are actually people that are interested in my content and watching what I have to say and learning from the experience that I've had, which is something I enjoy doing. I love coaching, teaching, helping. I always have. So I'm on a fun journey with personal branding. That's kind of the main focus. But what about you? I had a question for you as well because I was curious on like when the the flip like switched for you? Because I know you were like high ticket closing and then you started next generation closers. Like when was the point when you were like, okay, like this is the route that I have to go. I have to redirect my energy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people like would ask me all the time. They'd see me traveling. They'd see me kind of just living my lifestyle. They reach out like, yo, Damon, like, how can I get started doing what you do? This would happen at least 2-3 times a week. And then finally one day some guy just said, hey, like, it's cool if I pay you X amount to show you how to do it. I was like, whoa, like, people are willing to pay to learn the skill. And he got incredible results. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I have to start a coaching program because so many people are reaching out every single day. And that's just what I did. I basically launched it to like my close friends on Snapchat, signed up like 15 different people. And out of the initial 15, like all of them got crazy results. And we just kind of started scaling up from there. And the rest is history. The biggest thing though was just taking that initial action, like charging the guy and then doing it, right? Getting them results. It would have been really easy to get the results and then go back to just closing, because like with closing, I can make 30K a month and not have to worry about fulfillment, about coaching, but the impact wasn't quite there. So that's kind of what really inspired me to keep on going.
The impact and the scaling as well, because I know you're a freaking master closer. Like I've hopped on sales calls personally with you, and I'm just like, this dude, I want to buy from this dude. I'm not even the one getting sold, right? Like you have such a calm demeanor, and the way that you present whatever you're presenting to the people you're on the calls with is like, listen, bro, this is genuinely going to help you, don't you think? It's kind of like that asking questions kind of route, right? And so I'm obviously impressed with the sales skills that you've had. It makes sense that you would coach people and then you would have that ability to one, scale your own business in your own life, but two, to infinitely scale that out for other people as well. I mean, I know you have other people that are like on the NGC team across the globe that are doing the same thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's really interesting, man. The impact that we're already creating. We have like 5 different creators who are all pushing out content with NGC, and it's literally insane, bro. It started from just like me in an apartment one day, just wanting to help one person, to this big old organization. And we're responsible for hundreds of thousands, really millions of dollars of closed deals at this point. Like, for example, one of my students, he started just 1 year ago. He's already closed 3 million cash collected. He made $300,000 plus in his very first year as a high ticket closer. And that's just the beginning, right? We're going to impact thousands of people. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. And sales isn't easy. Like it's not easy to learn. So even if you do like go on YouTube and try to learn sales, like it's difficult without like kind of what I was talking about earlier, that accountability behind you to actually figure that out, which is why I really vibe with what you're doing as well, where you're literally teaching people, holding them accountable. I guess like if someone wanted to make a change in their life and didn't know where to start, they didn't necessarily want to get into sales, but maybe they were thinking about it. Like, what would you tell them is the first step? Not necessarily like join next generation closers, right? But what would be the first step that they would need to take in order to like just simply make a change?
Yeah, with any kind of change, like the best way to make a big change, especially financially, is increasing your communication skills, right? If you could communicate to people, whether it's networking, whether it's talking to your dream girl, whether it's being able to communicate effectively to your personal trainer and what exactly you want, your life's gonna 10x. Communication is like the most important thing. And a lot of my guys, like they come in, they wanna make money. Hey, Damon, I wanna make 10K a month. I wanna go to Europe. And they learn communication and their whole life changes, not just money, right? They're able to actually have the confidence to go up to their dream girl, or maybe they're able to communicate effectively with their, with people in day-to-day life. And this is the most important thing by far, communication, 100%. What about you? What do you think the most important skill set is right now in 2025?
I'd say communication's up there for sure, but not to echo what you just said, right? It's the soft skills. So it's like you said, everyone has the mindset of results-based thinking. It's like, how do I make money? How do I do the things? How do I get the dream body? I think the hardest part is overcoming those limiting beliefs, right? First of all, and then having that discipline. I actually just made a YouTube video on this. I'm about to post it today, actually, on like why most people feel lost, why people as men like feel lost in today's society. And it comes down to a few major things. And I go over it in the video, obviously, but the way to fix it is you have to have the mindset on the baseline, first of all, because if you don't have a good mindset, you're never going to be able to know even where you're headed. And then you have to have the discipline. Like, I don't want to be the guru that's like, oh, you have to have discipline, but it's true. Like if you pick something to work on, every single day, then you're going to get good at it no matter what it is. It's like Malcolm Gladwell in Outliers, right? 10,000 hours to master your craft. Whatever your craft is, it doesn't matter. If you if you raise your kid on how to kick a football for, since they were 2 years old, like every single day you're out there with, like, they're going to be one of the best kickers, and they're going to probably get a scholarship, and probably, there's a good chance they'll go to the NFL. You could do that with literally any skill. So I think that discipline is a major factor that people don't have, especially in an economy of TikTok, rot brain, and, the lack of focus that we all have. I fall into it sometimes as well, especially being on Instagram, being on social media for my brand. Like, whenever I catch myself scrolling, I get pissed. I'm like, damn, they got me. They got me. They're good at what they do. And they are, truly, because they literally have professionals that their entire job is to keep our attention on the app. We just have to be conscious about that. So having that discipline is a major factor as well.
Yeah. You said something interesting about success, and I totally agree. You don't pursue success. You attract success by the person that you become, right? So learning these skill sets that you're talking about, networking, communication, sales, marketing, personal branding, like, you have to become the person you want to be who would attract the success, right? If you're that person, you're showing up every day like that person, like, success is going to be inevitable, right?
And that's interesting because I think Jordan Peterson said this once. Essentially, there's no such thing as imposter syndrome, because in order to become the person you want to become, you have to imagine that you are already that person. This is a concept also in Psycho-Cybernetics, a book that I kind of preach on for sure. It's in order to become that person, you have to already believe that you are that person, and then your reality will form around you, which is a concept that can make people feel like they're incongruent or they're a fraud, right? But as long as you have that internal, like, drive and that internal, like, comfortability of where you're at, like, that's what you have to do. There's no such thing as imposter syndrome, because in order to become that person, you have to believe that you're the freaking man. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm. It's true, man. You have to act as if, right? You're never going to be the person who takes the action and gets the six pack, goes into the gym, or, builds your business if you don't already believe you're the kind of person who gets results doing it. Because, like, otherwise there's no point of really even taking the first step if you just are expecting to fail, right? You have to have that self-belief and that self-confidence, 100%.
So you flew in from Playa del Carmen, right?
Yes, sir.
Right on. Or is that where you're living now, or where? I know you've traveled, like, around the freaking globe. You've been to like a million different countries. Like, what would you say is the best place to post up?
Best place, man, there's so many beautiful places in the world, but right now I'm in between Playa del Carmen and have a house in California, so we're going back and forth between those two places. Playa is pretty cool. I really love it. I'm in Playa Car, which is like a quiet, like, nice, fancy, like, Mexican neighborhood. And California is pretty nice. The taxes aren't the best, but besides that, I mean, California is beautiful. I also really like Europe in the summers. I was actually thinking about trying to do something with the house over there as well. What about you? Where are you at? I think I saw you were in Mexico too, right?
It's a good question. I don't know where I'm at, right? I tell you, I just got off of monk mode in Mazatlan in Mexico, which was a great place for monk mode, but I think it served its purpose, and now I'm going to move on. I've lived in a few different places in Latin America as well, a few different countries, but I'm kind of getting tired of the runaround, man. I'm kind of getting tired of not having a desk to sit down at and not having my own space and kind of packing my stuff up in a suitcase. So I don't know. Maybe we run Euro summer. Yeah. Maybe you let me know about the house and what needs to happen for that. So it's definitely on the table, but I'm trying to figure out a place to go. I like Miami, actually being here now. Last time I was here was like 3 years ago, and I wasn't even considering, like, at that point I still lived in California. I was still selling solar, so I hadn't even done anything in traveling, and now I'm kind of traveled out. So I'd say if you're trying to, like, get out of the US, like, Mexico's a great place to start. Costa Rica is also very low barrier to entry, one of the easier countries. But I'd definitely get that on your resume if you haven't traveled. I made a funny Instagram video about that. I think the one that you prompted me to make that one day. If you haven't traveled, you're gay.
I wanted to ask you, man, because, like, you're someone who, from a young age, like, you just kind of took the leap of faith, invested in in a coaching program. You started traveling. You actually ended up traveling with the owner of the coaching program. If someone has an opportunity like that to go out and travel, they're working remotely, perhaps. A lot of people, they just still stay in their hometown, even though they know they should go out and do something. Like, seriously, like, what kind of advice would you tell that person who's, like, on the fence about taking the leap of faith to move to the city or to go on that one trip that they know they need to go on?
First of all, they need to get the word leap of faith like out of their brain. I'm not saying that obviously how you're phrasing it, but like these people have this big like expectation of what it's going to be, and it's like this big hump that they have to overcome, and it's going to completely change their life. I got offered a job in California. I quit my 9 to 5, threw everything in my car, and moved out a week later. Like, my mom was like, what the fuck are you doing? But I drove out to California. I was like, I'm just going to explore this side of the map. I'm going to explore this part of life. I'm going to see what this brings me. And that one decision, I would say, has compounded with a butterfly effect to get me to exactly where I am today. So it's like, stop thinking of it as such a big decision. Oh, I have to like uproot my whole life and change my whole life and move to the city. Yeah, it's going to be a big change. But if you just do shit, if you just do all of the things, if you just try and put that energy into the universe, kind of what you were saying earlier, you just have to do it. So like people, the reason that I moved and linked up with that business partner that I was running at the time, the one you're referring to, is because if I was going to be a partner in this business, I knew that we were going to be more effective working together in the same room. That's the power of that energy. That's the power of being in the same place at the same time. It's the foundation of Kaizen, right? But that's the reason. I was like, yeah, we could do this remotely, but the feedback loop isn't going to be very tight. There's going to be a lot of room for error. So fuck it, I'm just going to fly to him. I'm just going to go, and then we're just going to build a business together. And it ended up working out incredibly well. That's actually where we met, that in Playa. So like, if it makes sense logically to me on paper, I'm usually the type of person that will do it. Like, I'm an easy sale, bro. Like, if someone says, dude, this makes sense for you, you really don't think that if you do this, you won't get your ROI in XYZ way. Like, if that makes sense to me, then I'll probably do it. So if I was like, I did that to myself, and I was like, do you really think that you won't make more money being in the same room as this guy, as this business partner? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to make more money. So why wouldn't I do it? That's the logical move.
And you did make more money, right?
I did. I did.
Yeah, it's funny. The best salespeople are the easiest people to sell. That's what I noticed, right? Like, Mitch, our friend, like, this guy will buy anything almost, man. Same with myself, same with you. Like, if it makes sense, like, we're down to just make the investment, because why not? Life's short. Money is everywhere. It's so easy to get money. If you make an investment, it's going to come back 10 times. Even if it's a bad investment, the lessons that you learn from that bad investment is better, right? Because like, if you're always in indecision, thinking about investments, it's like, bro, you're always going to have like a clouded mind, and it's hard to think clearly if you're always in indecision. So I guess, yeah, what would you tell people who are constantly being indecisive about like taking action on decisions? And they're the kind of people who always like to think things through and overthink. Like, what kind of advice would you tell those people?
Yeah, I mean, indecision didn't get anyone anywhere. Like, do you think Napoleon had a bunch of indecision? Right? No, he like all these like conquerors, all these successful people, they're risk takers, they're gamblers, right? The only time, I say this all the time, the only time you're moving backwards is when you're not moving at all. Because even if you're moving and you fail, you're still iterating, you're still learning, so you're still moving forwards. Because time is the only thing that none of us can change. So we're getting 1 second closer to death every single second we live in this world. So if you're not moving, you're just getting closer to death and nothing's happening. So indecision doesn't get you anywhere. Like, really, you don't need a lot of time to think about things. You just need information. Like, yeah, like maybe, you need to think about it for like 5-10 minutes and like figure out what the best move forward is. Or maybe you need to go to the bar, drink, a whiskey, and then frickin' decide. But sitting on it for 2 weeks, like, you actually don't want to do it if that's your plan.
Yeah. Have you ever actually took time to think about something, then actually took the time to think about it? I feel like most people, when they sit down and say, hey, I want to go think about it, they're completely forgetting. They're back scrolling. They're back doing other things, and they end up just getting completely distracted and forget about the thing altogether. I see this all the time. Like, sometimes people hop on, because we take like 10 to 12 sales calls a day. People hop on calls with my team, and they really want to make a change in their life, like so bad they're willing to do whatever it takes. But when the price comes, sometimes they want to go ahead and think about it, right? And these people will completely forget about that decision that they wanted to make so badly. and 6 months later they're in the same position or even worse. Usually it's worse because like inflation and things happen. I guess, have you ever seen that? Because I know you're in sales too sometimes. Have you ever seen that where you hop on with a client, you follow up with them 6 months later, and you see that they're just worse, and you feel almost guilty, like if you would have closed them, you would have helped them out.
Yeah, and that's the way that's the mindset that salespeople have to have. Because if you know, you genuinely, if you're a good salesperson and you're ethical, and you know that your product or service is going to genuinely help them, you would be doing them a disservice if you let them hop off that sales call and not change their life. And even if their situation doesn't change or inflation doesn't happen, if they're 6 months down the line and they just wasted 6 months not doing anything, again, they're still moving backwards because they're not moving at all. So like indecision doesn't actually get you anywhere. Like in that 6 months, you could have tried this, you could have failed, you could have learned, and you could have tried something else by now. But now you're just sitting in the same spot. Maybe you have $20,000 more in your bank account, sure, but what does that actually get you? Like you don't have the knowledge that you need in order to make $1 million yet. You still only have $20,000. $20,000 isn't going to make you a full-time income in the market or anything like that. You just have a different number in your bank account. So it doesn't really make sense to not be decisive on things. Like the more you do, the more energy you put out into the universe, the more that you try, the more that gets done, the more successful you're going to be every single time. And every successful person is going to tell you that.
It's true. Also, people like might spend $1,000 at the club or $1,000 on an iPhone or on bullshit, basically, but they're not willing to spend $5,000 in themselves. And I feel like it's a big reflection of their belief in themselves, right? Because they truly believe they were going to show up and put in the work. You know, $5,000, like money comes and goes, but the only reason why they know that they wouldn't get the result is because they wouldn't show up. I think that's a big reflection of what people think about themselves sometimes.
Yeah, it's also scarcity mindset, because if you don't have a lot of money, it's really hard to part with that money unless you have like a very good mindset about learning in life. Like I've always known where I was going to be at the end of the day. I've always known I was going to be a multimillionaire, have a great life. So the money I'm spending right now doesn't really matter because I know where I'm going to be. But if you don't have that belief in yourself, then it's hard to part with that. You know, I mean, that's if you have $10,000 in the bank, $5,000 is half your money. So you're not thinking like, what value can I get from this? That's not a direct ROI. Most people want to know, how am I going to make my $5,000 back? But if you change your mindset and you go, bro, do you really think that, let's take Kaizen for example, do you really think that like getting in the same room as multimillionaires and asking them questions and learning from them and potentially getting involved in a business, right, is going to make you more than $5,000 at the end of the day? Like that's probably going to happen if you're just in the room with those people, because you are the 5 people you surround yourself with, right?
Yep.
So if you change your mindset from just a strict like financial ROI standpoint, then you're going to end up being a lot more successful.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny too, because like usually not having 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever the price is to join a mentorship like yours, usually it's a symptom of not having the resources or skills. Right, and they're trying to buy the resources or skills, but they're scared to spend the money to acquire those resources. It's like, if you really think about it, right? If you already had those resources, you wouldn't be worried about 5K. You wouldn't be worried about 10K. So it's really important to do whatever it takes to acquire those.
Yeah, it's funny. Rich people are a lot easier to sell because they don't have those like small limiting beliefs. Like there's a meme on Twitter or whatever, X. It's like if you send an invoice to a low ticket client, they're like, when do I get it? Like, when do I get the ROI? Like, when's onboarding? What do I do? Like, should I pay? Like all these questions. And then the other person sends the invoice to like the whale, and he's just like, sent. Let me know. Because he's got shit to do. He's doing other stuff. Like he has a life that he's actually living, and he knows that this is going to be a good addition. He's not casting all his eggs in one basket. So it's like, if you have that mindset about life, then you're just going to end up being more successful at the end of the day.
Yep. Corey, I wanted to ask you, you're someone who's been in high ticket sales for how long? It's been like 3 years?
Yeah, probably 4 at this point, because started, technically I ran a house painting business when I was in college. I took a summer off.
Nice.
Well, I didn't take a summer off. I in between school and the summer, I started a house painting business, and I essentially started knocking doors and ran a $60,000 revenue business, which was pretty cool. So if you consider that, I mean, like a long time, but actually in sales, like probably 4 years, yeah.
So you've been in high ticket sales for about 4 years. I guess for you, like, what's one piece of advice you would tell, the people watching this who are looking to get into high ticket sales?
I'd say that you have to have the level of discipline that I was describing earlier for anything. It doesn't just have to be high ticket sales, but that's a prerequisite. So if you want to get into high ticket sales, obviously next generation closers is the move for sure. But I'd say it's a great route. Sales is probably the best thing that you could learn for yourself because you can use it in so many different aspects of life. But you have to have that discipline because a lot of people just expect to just get things handed for them for free. Okay, I paid you $5,000, now change my life. It's not how it works. The $5,000 or whatever it is for your program or whatever, just using that same number as an example, is your entry into the possibility of being able, the audition of being able to make that money. You still have to perform, right? Mm-hmm. That's your ticket into the show. You still have to do well and perform well and learn and hop on these, training calls and figure out how to actually sell. So I'd say keep shifting your mindset, keep learning, and then once you actually are ready to dive all in, next generation closers definitely is the move. I've been on the inside, and it's pretty solid.
Corey, I wanted to ask you, man, because you're someone who's kind of seen everything in high ticket, right? You've helped sell high ticket coaching programs, but also, you've been an appointment setter, you've been a closer, you've seen literally everything. And someone was at like $5 or $6K a month in appointment setting who's made well over $10,000 a month, what would you say the biggest difference in skill and mindset is from like $5K a month to, let's say $15K plus per month? Yeah.
A lot of people that can't break that barrier are just copy and pasting a script. They don't have an ability to think critically about that person and put yourself in that person's shoes, which sounds a little cliche, but you genuinely do. Because if you can't put yourself in that person's shoes and understand where he's coming from, then you're not going to be able to connect on an emotional level with what he's feeling. Because if he really does have $5,001 in his bank account and you're asking for his last $5,000, it's not going to be easy to get him to part with that. You can't just copy and paste a script that works, on a generic level for everyone and expect the same results. You have to genuinely be like, brother, is this the best thing for you? And it might not be the best thing for him. And you as an ethical salesperson have to be okay with that as an option. But if it is genuinely going to be the best thing for him and you believe that your product or service is going to get them to that next level, then you have to put yourself in their shoes and help them reframe their own mind by asking them the right questions so that they can come to the decision of what's best for them. You can't decide that for them. And the people that just copy and paste the script don't really have that ability, and that's why their commission's capped.
So there's no magical script to get to 10K per month?
Unfortunately, man. But nothing good in life is easy. That's why good things are still good.
Yep. I wanted to ask you, man, because in sales, our job is to make people make a decision, right? Which is either yes or no, which are totally fine answers. But I guess for you, a lot of new people, they think you're turning a no into a yes. But what's the difference between turning a no into a yes and a maybe into a yes?
I'd say the people that are adamant no's are easier sales, actually. Because the people that are maybes are super indecisive, like we talked about earlier, and they don't have the right mindset. The people that are no's don't believe that your product can help them or service can help them. And if you can help them understand that it will, then they're going to flip that switch pretty easily. But the people that are maybes are just indecisive and they're not ready to take that step. Even if you do drag them along the process and finally get them in, obviously it's going to help them at the end of the day, but there's no guarantee that they're actually going to put in the work that it takes to get there. So I'd say if someone's telling you no, like that should be something that gets you excited, because that means that, one, they're either going to be easy to turn into a yes, as long as you can essentially use the logic and the quality of your service in order to communicate that to them, or you can have the mindset of the law of averages, which there's a very short YouTube video if you look up the law of averages on YouTube that's helped me in sales immensely. It's essentially like everything is a numbers game. So if you knock on 100 doors and you get 97 no's, you could get 3 yeses at the end, and those numbers are always going to even out, whatever the numbers are, right? You're always going to get some yeses. So you could reframe your brain and you could say, okay, I just got a no. I'm happy with that, because that just means I'm one step closer to a yes. One trick that I did in solar was every single no I got, I imagined putting $10 into a piggy bank. And then on a yes, when that deal got signed, that's when I could cash out on that piggy bank and cash out on all those no's that I had. So you can reframe your brain like that, but I would get excited if you had a no, because it either means you're one step closer to a yes, or it means that this guy's going to be decisive either way, which is a good thing for you as a salesperson, because you're not going to waste your time, or you're going to get a yes.
Yep. Getting people to make a decision, super important, man, 100%.
But I'm curious for you, like Damon, if you were to help someone like who's starting from zero, what would you say would be the first step that they need to take?
So if you're starting from zero with high ticket sales, like you have to build the foundation first, which is the skill set, right? And it's super easy. It takes like 28 days to learn how to sell online, right? It takes
Only 28.
Only 28 days. We have it down to a science where we could get literally anyone off the street, take them into the program, 28 days later, give them the skills that they need to land a remote high ticket opportunity. And at this point, once they're in for 28 days, we just put them on either appointment setting or a closing role, depending on their skill level at that point, right? So skill, opportunity, and then on top of that, you're going to need the support as well, because like as you're scaling your income from 5 to 10 or from 10 to 20, there's going to be some tips and tricks you're going to need to implement to keep on growing as a closer. Because the last thing you want is to have like a capped income. That's the whole reason why you got into sales, right?
Can you give us some free game? What are some of those tips? What's one?
I mean, the most important thing is discovery, right? If you aren't able to get people to have internal pressure to want to change by the questions that you're asking, in the NGC framework, for example, that's one of the things we go over a lot. You have to ask the right questions because it's going to cause internal pressure, and then they're going to start selling themselves on why they want to do it. You're not going to have to sell them on your product or service because they're already sold, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't spend 45 minutes on a sales call with you talking about how badly they want to change. If they're there, they're trying to buy. Basically, if someone's on the phone with you, it would be like going to McDonald's in the drive-thru and then going out on the other end without food, right? It doesn't make any sense. So if they're there with you on the sales call, know that you can close them as long as you're asking the right questions.
Fire. Okay. Well, obviously sales skills are extremely important in that scenario. How much does like environment come into play as well for a successful closer?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you could be the best closer in the world, but if you're in a shitty environment, like you're never going to make any money. Like it's impossible, right? I know people who are so good at sales, but they're just not in the right industry. Maybe they're, for example, this guy I was talking to the other day, he's in HVAC sales. This guy's an absolute beast, but just like in the city he's in, the opportunity, he's not going to get to the numbers he's looking and wants to get to. He's never going to get to 20, 30K a month in the vehicle that he's in, right? You can't outwork a shitty vehicle, no matter what. So if that's you, and you're in in-person sales and you feel like you're capped, then you have to find a new opportunity because, with remote sales, there's people who are making $100,000 a month with half the skill set as you. So find the right opportunity, implement your skill set into high ticket sales, and then, you could pretty much reach the sky because there's no limit.
Yeah, that's fire. I knew people that weren't good at sales at all that were just making a bag in solar, right? Just because that was the meta at the time. I know people that are insanely cracked at sales that are just in the wrong vehicle, right? And people can come to you obviously as well, right, to change the vehicle that they're in. Like, what if someone comes up to you and is like, Damon, I don't need sales training. Like, I just want like a better opportunity. You can help people in that situation as well.
Yeah, for example, one of my guys, Michael, he came in from the auto sales industry. This guy's an absolute beast, like super charismatic, super positive guy. I actually met him at an Andy Elliott conference. And basically, he's like, yo, Damon, like, I want to get into high ticket sales. I see what you do. Like, can you help me? 3 weeks later, we were able to get him on an opportunity, and we were in touch. The opportunity didn't even work out for him. I actually placed him on a different one, and then he actually ended up closing for Andy Elliott. So right now, he's a closer for the Elliott Group. It's like full circle. And this process was about a month and a half of like being in the program. Went from not in high ticket sales to quitting his job and going full time with the Elliott Group.
You got him on Andy's team?
Yes, sir.
You're connected like that? All right, bet. Maybe we talk after this as well. Nah, it's good. Yeah, man, I'm super pumped for for all of this. I'm super pumped for Saturday. I'm super pumped to see what kind of connections I can bring to your plate as well. Excited to see what kind of knowledge and connections that you have. I think that the medium of which Kaizen was created on is going to be very, very successful and procure a bunch of wins. So I'm very excited.
I kind of wanted to switch the topic a little bit. I had a question for you, man. I wanted to ask you, about style, because I know a lot of people, especially younger guys, like it's really hard to figure out like how to dress for business, for networking. What's like one piece of advice you would say in dressing for people who are looking to kind of make a good first impression?
Yeah, I actually have a YouTube video on this as well. I have one as well that's titled "How to Look Fly If You're Broke." So it's like it's not difficult. I mean, you see a lot of like billionaires just dressed in the same black shirts and stuff like that. The first and most important thing is to fit your shirts very well. So get into the gym, get some arms, hit some biceps, right? And then wear a tight fitted sleeve shirt that makes your body look good and get rid of a bunch of the body fat that you have. Like that's going to be the first thing in order to look good. Then you can put on pretty much any shirt and look pretty solid, even if you don't have a six pack or anything like that. But I'd say find your specific style. Like your specific style. Are you the guy that dresses kind of badass and darker? Are you the guy that dresses super bright with a bunch of white? Are you the guy that wears skinny jeans? Are you the guy that, wears Chelsea boots and, and a nice shirt? Looks like you just got off of a boat, right? And fall into that style. Make it match your personality. Make sure it's congruent with that. And then the confidence that you portray as you wear the clothes. Like you can get good looking clothes for cheap. Go to freaking Zara. Go to somewhere easy that, go somewhere different than Target, right? But even at Target, like as long as you make it work and as long as you try to make yourself look good, then you can. If you have a bit more money, I'd say find your favorite stores. One of my favorite stores is State and Liberty. Actually, that's where this shirt is from. I'm not an affiliate, but no, it's one of my favorite stores just because that fits my style very, very well. And so I like shopping there and kind of treating myself whenever I can, whenever I'm in a city that has one of those stores. In fact, we should go there after this. But I think fitting into your shirts very well, looking good, naked, right, getting in the gym, like just get to a point to where your body is in a solid position on its own. And then if you wear tight fitting clothes that, fill out your body pretty well, then it's pretty easy to look good.
Mm-hmm. That's a good segue. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like one of the things that you mentioned is like sleep, habits, energy, biohacking. I wanted to kind of open some space to talk a little bit more about that. What's your current morning routine? I know you have like a pretty crazy routine right now.
Yeah, so my routine always changes. Like I'm always adding things, subtracting things, and being a scientist, trying to figure it out. Actually, right now it's very simple. My morning routine right now is wake up out of bed, do some push-ups immediately, like right out of bed, just do push-ups. Because the number one thing, and that I've incorporated that for a long time. The number one thing that keeps people in bed is scrolling on their phone. So if you put your phone on the other side of the room and you have to get up to turn your alarm off, or if you just get out of bed immediately and start doing some push-ups, then you're already going to be starting your day off with a win, and that's going to give you some momentum there. It's also going to get the blood flowing. That's the first thing always. And then make sure that you're hydrated. Chug water. And within those two things, I'd say the most important thing that not everyone is going to do, but is the most important part of a morning routine, is waking up before the sunrise and then watching the sunrise. Take your shoes off, go to the beach. If you don't have a beach, like go to the top of your apartment building, just watch the sunrise, reset your circadian rhythm, and that's going to be the single most important thing for you in order to get your day started right. A lot of people don't want to do that because obviously nightlife is very huge. Right now I'm in a monk mode grind. I'm not in a nightlife grind, so it's very, very easy to stay in my routine with the sun. But circadian rhythm is extremely important for productivity, and I have goals that are bigger than going to the club and getting a bottle right now. So
nice. Yeah, I read a book called Miracle Morning. Talk about waking up early, 5:30, 5 a.m. I guess for you, why is it important to rise early? Like, what kind of benefits have you seen in your life since you started waking up earlier?
There's two factors to it. There's one, what I just mentioned, which is resetting your circadian rhythm. Like literally when you watch the sunrise, the science inside of your body resets all of your hormones. Like it's how we were supposed to live, because before technology, before alarms, that is what set our biological clock. So that's going to reset your hormones, which all of us have disrupted hormones with all of the freaking endocrine disruptors and microplastics and everything like that. The more things that you can do to put yourself in a better biological state is going to be better for you. But the second part is just productivity. Like if you wake up earlier, you can get more done earlier in the day, and you can use all of the daylight that's available. If you wake up with the sunrise and then you get a workout in right after, and then you get some work done, like it's only like 10 a.m. after that, right? Or 11 a.m. after that, and you still have the whole rest of the day to be productive. Whereas if you wake up at noon and then you kind of trudge out of bed, you scroll on your phone, you get to the gym by 1, you're done with your gym session at like 3, you only have like 2 hours left of sunlight left. And so it's hard to be productive in that environment, because then when the night comes, then you just got to be tied to your computer, and then it goes back into the biological optimization as well. So I'd say that waking up with the sun and really aligning yourself in your circadian rhythm is one of the most important things that you can do if you possibly want to be successful.
100%. Another thing too, I know we're coming to that time, but I wanted to ask you a few more important questions, because like you're someone who started doing personal brand, and I mean, for me, I think personal brand is like the most important thing, more important than remote sales right now, in my opinion, is learning how to create a personal brand. And everything's going to be about personal brand moving into 2026. I wanted to ask you, for someone who for a long time has been building a personal brand and overcoming the limiting beliefs that goes into doing that, what's one piece of advice you have to people who are on the fence about posting that first reel or posting consistently?
No one actually cares. Like no one actually cares in a good way. No one is going to remember the piece of content that you put out a week later and be like, oh yeah, like Corey put out that piece of content, like I forgot I don't like that guy. Like no one is going to remember. Think of all of the reels that you scroll past on a daily basis that just go in and out of your brain. Your content that you post is going to go past most people, but the few people that it does affect, you're going to retain and you're going to hold. So the more content you just push out there over and 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 over again, the more you do, the more you post, goes back to what we talked about earlier, the more success you're going to have. No one cares about your content enough to remember the bad, but the people that vibe with you and fuck with your content are definitely going to remember the good, especially if they give you a follow and you consistently post content after that. And that's how you start to build a cult-like following of people that fuck with your stuff no matter what you're doing. Every single person I speak to that has built their personal brand can sell anything and still make money. Like Dwayne Johnson, for example, The Rock. He has a tequila brand. What does he know about tequila? He's an actor, right? But he has built this personal brand, and people love watching his movies, so that when they see his face or name on a tequila bottle, they're like, oh, I want that tequila bottle. That's an effective personal brand. When your personal brand isn't tied to the activity or the service or the product, but when it's tied to your face and people mess with what you're saying, and then you can change industry or change product or change service or change what you're speaking about, and they will follow you there. That is a asset that follows you for a lifetime that you can, one, always monetize, yes, make money from, but two, that you can utilize for attention, because as everyone knows, attention is the new currency in the world. So I think there's pretty much zero negatives to building a solid personal brand in this day and age, unless you're a very specific type of person that doesn't really want to be on the internet.
Sweet, man. I know we're wrapping up here. I wanted to open it up. Any other things you wanted to mention before we go ahead and sign off?
Yeah, I was curious on one more thing for you, because obviously you were talking about like Euro summer and looking at all those things over there, maybe getting a house. Like in this world that we live in, it's kind of separated into two areas. It's like United States and that big market, and then like all of Europe and that big market. Like, would you say that it's important for people to actually dive into the online world that want to be successful? Or would you say that people that are on each side of the world, like it's okay if they stay offline and kind of do their own thing?
I mean, I think both ways are super viable. You could create a billion-dollar business offline, but now that we're going into 2026, all the biggest companies you see are building personal brands. Like Meta even has a personal brand now. Mark Zuckerberg's now doing UFC all of a sudden, hopping on podcasts. So the trend is you have to go online. And I have people in all different countries, people in Costa Rica, people in Colombia, people in Macedonia, where the average salary is under $1,500 and they're making 5 to 10K per month. So it is a cheat code for someone to kind of propel their life, to get the capital that they need to, maybe they want to start an in-person business, but it's impossible if you're making, $1,500 to a month to have the funds and capital to fund the things you want to do. So I always say, learn a high income skill first, master it, and then reinvest your capital into businesses, into assets like Bitcoin, real estate, and that way is a really sustainable way to start creating start creating wealth for yourself.
Amazing. It's scalable too. Where can people find you if they are interested in next generation closers or just interested in hearing more of your brain thoughts?
Yeah, just look me up, Demond the Closer, on all platforms: X, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. What about you?
Same. Corey A. Johns on all platforms. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited for this event on Saturday. I know you're going to have a blast. We've put a lot of effort into the planning and into the back end on this. So I'm excited, and hopefully people are as well.
Awesome, man. Pleasure, Corey. And until next time.